Okay, right. So we've got Walter here for being a guinea pig as to receive a soul plan reading. And I've got the chart up on screen, and I'll be making some notations on here as we go. Just to let you also know, I know Walter really well. So, and I said to you that the most difficult people to read for are people that you know. And so what I've done was the information that I'm going to be sharing with Walter is not going to be from my own intuitive side. I have not done the intuitive side of the reading on purpose. I've taken information straight out of the manual, straight out of the books, straight out of the slides that I'm shared with you. I'm using that information only because that way I can't get my own biases involved going like, oh, I know he does that. Or I know he does that. I may from time to time mention something like where I know something, but the information, the main piece of information is what I will get out of the manual. And so I do this on purpose because if you ever get to do a reading for someone that you know really well, then I would advise take the information straight out of the book. Then the person can't turn around and say, you're giving me the information because you know me. Because then you can say, no, well, here it is in the book, see? And then that gives it a little bit more credibility as well. It just makes it easier. Okay, so welcome, Walter, and thank you for participating here. And
Thank you.
I'm going to treat you like you are a brand new person who's never heard of Soul Plan before, and I'll explain the whole story to you. But before we start, let's just quickly connect and settle in. So just leave the day behind. So I want you just to get comfortable, close your eyes, and just take a nice slow deep breath in and out, and drop into your heart space. And get a sense of what it feels in your heart. No judgment, just get a sense of what it feels like. I do the same from my side. And from your heart, send a connection to my heart. And I do the same, sending a connection to your heart. And from your heart, send a connection down into the heart of the earth. I do the same. Just connecting your heart with the heart of the earth. Perhaps bringing some of the light and energy that you sense in the heart of the earth up along the connection and into your body. And from your heart, send a connection to the all that is, God, Source, the Creator, whatever is appropriate for you. And perhaps scooping some of that energy up and allowing that to come along the connection and into your body. And as the energies are fusing and blending between the heart of the earth and the heart of the all that is, just allow that energy to expand out, radiating out from your body, getting bigger and brighter. And as the energy expands, allow yourself to connect with your soul. Sense the unity with all that is. And we become one. Then becoming aware of your body in this time and this place. And just firmly plant your feet into the ground just to anchor and ground the energies. And when you're ready, you may open your eyes. Okay, so if you have pen and paper ready, you may want to make some notes along the way because there's usually a lot of information that comes through. The session is recorded, but as always, it's always easier to find that information later on when you come back to it. I'm going to start off just by looking at an overview of the chart, just so that you have an idea as to what we're looking at, and I'll be guiding you through with each of the energies, just so that you also know where we're sitting in the chart. So first of all, with Soul Plan, we've got two triangles. You've got the downward facing triangle and you've got the upward facing triangle. The downward facing triangle is also known as the worldly triangle, and it's associated with the first 35 to 40 years of life. And within this, we've got challenge, talents, and goals. The challenges are always where we get stuck. Talents are what we are good at, and the goals is what we want to achieve. And this is, as I mentioned, your first sort of 30 to 40 years in life. Then once you've done that, and it doesn't go away, but then once you work with that, we go into the spiritual triangle, and this is 30, 40 onwards to the rest of your life. And this also has challenge, talents, and goals to them. And then in the center, we have the soul destiny. The soul destiny is not a destination, it's more like a direction. So it's your main direction that your life is wanting to take. The worldly triangle, it doesn't just come to an end. So when we work with this, let's say you 30, 40 and the spiritual triangle activates, this one still continues. So it's going to be with you for the rest of your life, but it's going to have a little bit of a lighter impact as we move into the spiritual triangle. And so we'll just see where you're at as we go along with the reading, and probably ask you a few questions along the way as well. I'd like to have an overview of the entire chart before I start. So you'll notice that we've got some combination numbers, there's some double numbers. Double numbers will have the same number in front and the back, and then combination numbers will be like a 21-3. And we normally want to find a good balance within a chart. Now, in your case, you've got only 2 double numbers. The rest of them are all combination numbers. And so when we've got more combination numbers than double numbers, it can add a little bit of a confusion to life. So it's almost like there's too many choices, too many things to think about, too many things that you want to learn. And it can be a little bit distracting. Sometimes you don't complete things. So you get excited about something, move in the direction, and see something else that excites you, and then you move in that direction. And so what you want to do is you want to, within that flexibility and that flow, you want to find a way that you can complete things. So always come back to the things that you have started before and just come back and fix them and actually meet those goals. Your name is not too long. So when you've got a shorter name, it brings a little bit more of a rigidity to it. And so that almost brings the balance in here. So even though you've got the lots of combination numbers, the name brings a different balance because that'll bring almost like a rigidity. So it does give you that nice central point. So even though I only see 2 double numbers, it still brings a balance. Just watch out for the lots of ideas because that can sometimes get you off track. Really focus in on what it is that you want to work with. It is also possible that you used to have you were maybe a little bit less focused when you were younger, and as you get older, you get more focused. That could also present that way. How are you now with focus?
I think it depends on what I'm doing. As you know, I channel a lot of light codes and I have a lot on the go, but I sort of wait for them to tell me that it's time to continue with that piece or that piece. But you know, in the kitchen,
as
it's a
long as you
lot
get
of
to
focus.
finish them.
Hey?
As long as you get to finish them, that's
Oh, I
important.
do finish them. I do finish them. It's whether they tell me I'm allowed to proceed or that I have to hold back. Like something's waiting in the. It's stewing. It's stewing.
Got that. Cool. Okay. Then we've got, I'm looking at specific numbers here. You've got 2 10 ones. Now, when we've got the 2 10 ones coming up, when in combination, that usually indicates that we've got an alien soul. So you're not from here, definitely from outside of the solar system. And as a result, your thinking and your approach to life is going to be slightly different to most people. You may also find that you don't always understand how this planet works. And I think what you want to do here is you want to get to a place where you understand how it works here. You get to play the game here because that information you can take back again when you leave here and you go back to where you come from. Because this is here, it's almost like you're here on a mission to learn new ways of being and new ways of doing. The 10-1 could be an old soul here when we've got a double combination, and also when we've got the double, it's definitely an alien soul. Anything else that I can see? I'm just looking for overall things that I can pick on. That's only that for now. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to run through the chart and I'll take one step at a time. I'll start here with a worldly challenge. Then we work our way around to the worldly talent, then worldly goal, and then we go to the spiritual challenge, talent, and goal, and then we come to the soul destiny to tie it all up. Okay, so
Mhm.
let's start with this 7-7 over here. The 7-7, this is all about social skills, networking, working with groups, and facilitation. Now, obviously, as a child, you're not going to be doing facilitation and working in groups. And definitely not networking, but as children do network to some degree. But as a youngster, you may have found that you didn't quite like to be connected with people. And so you were a little bit more of a hermit, step outside, wanting to not be in the center of the circle. Um,
They
the,
used to call me the loner.
the loner, there we go.
Hmm.
So the challenge here, or the thing that you want to overcome, where you want to get to, is you want to get to a point where you can be in the group, when you can facilitate the groups, when you can hold space for people. So obviously that will happen probably a little bit later on in life. But in the beginning, especially younger years, that is where you hold back. Um, the 7-7 is associated with vulnerability, authenticity, being real. And what happens sometimes with the 7 is you don't know who you are, or you do know who you are, but you feel that people won't accept you for that. And then what you do is you put a mask up, or you put a front up, you pretend to be someone else, you pretend to live your life a different way, and you present that to the world, is because that's your idea of what you think they want to see, when in fact, actually, people only want to see who you really are. But there's usually some fear involved, either feeling like you're under attack, or you judged, or you feel trapped. And then what you do is you then display only your good side to the world. And then when you get into your own space, then you can drop that mask and the armor, which sometimes becomes harder. The more and more you wear a mask and armor, the more you start identifying with it. So there may have been a time in your life where, due to judgment or feelings of attack, you would have pretended to be someone else, and it may have taken you some time to drop that layers and the shells to start clearing that. And also the 3, I'm just, as I'm talking about, the 3 is about protection in the shell. So what you would have done as a protective barrier is to maybe pad up, maybe even protect your heart space, not allowing people into the heart space. And that would have taken time to sort of dismantle and release as you got older. Is that something that resonates? Is that something that works, or that you can connect with?
Yes, because when I found out at an early age that I was gay, being brought up Catholic, I obviously had to pretend that I was straight, that I was normal, and went through quite a rigorous self program to see if I could change to become what the world expected of me, the family expected of me. So, yes, there was a lot of hiding. Even at university, I never came out and pretended to be straight and yeah, that sort of thing.
Okay. And so as you got older, you actually had to make peace with that. You almost like you had to find yourself. You had to find your own authenticity. And obviously, where you are now, you would have gotten to a place where you have now stepped into that authenticity. You've embraced it, you've accepted that, and you're allowing yourself to be seen. And probably now you are probably working better with groups, facilitation, holding space. Whereas when you were younger, you would have been shying away from those, because that's all
I
what
think
this is
what I
all
what
about.
I find is that when I know the people that I'm mingling with are like me,
Mm.
oddballs, different, who are authentic and brave to be who they are, then there isn't a resistance to just sort of coming clean with who I am. But when it feels like I'm going into a place where there is a kind of social expectation, social norm,
Mm.
then there's more of an awkwardness or resistance. I think it's just like I don't really want to play that game anymore. So I'd rather not mingle in that kind of circle.
Now, with the 7, it's not really necessarily about. I mean, when it comes to vulnerability and things like that, with vulnerability, we really get to choose who we are vulnerable with. Doesn't mean that because you go vulnerable, you've got to be like bare naked to the whole entire world. You can choose
Mhm.
who you want to be vulnerable with, and so you get to choose who you want to open up to. The big thing with the seven is just to learn not to have those masks. If people don't like you without the mask, then they'll move away naturally. The thing with the
Yeah, I've learned
seven,
that.
yeah.
I've learned that.
Yeah, the thing with the seven is that it's a magnetic, charismatic energy. So whether you like it or not, you're going to be attracting people to you no matter where you go in life. But the secret here is that it depends on where your heart is and it depends on where your mind is. If you're in a space of I'm not worthy, I'm not good enough, I'm this or I'm that, that's the type of people or energies that you can attract into your life. So the more you get into alignment with who you are as a true being, as a real human being, the more you're going to attract like-minded people into your space. And so the more you step into your vulnerability and authenticity, you're going to be attracted to, or people are going to be attracted to you who are in that same space. So you'll find that your life will be surrounded by like-minded people wherever you go. Um, so it's a good one to have. But in the beginning, when you're younger, it's obviously a little bit of a tough one. The seven is also a catalytic number. And what it does is it makes everything big. So it's like putting everything under a magnifying glass. And so you may find that you like to also analyze and put things under the magnifying glass and look at it and understand how things work on like really on the minute level. So it's about the details at the end of the day. As in the challenge, there is a sort of you could be a little bit prone to fantasy. And it's again like sort of you run off with your fantasies, almost like let's say you meet someone, then immediately you go into fantasy about that person. It's almost like making up stories about who the person could be, where the person's from, and all of that. And so those are things that the more you get into alignment with yourself, those fantasies go away because then you are more about I'm authentic, and therefore the person I'm meeting is authentic, and I want to authentically meet that person. I don't know if that makes any sense to you.
Mhm.
Is there any
It
fantasy
does.
background or whatever? The fantasy could also be a form of escape. So when you didn't want to connect with peers or groups when you were younger, there would have been some form of escape to make it a bit easier for you to survive or to get along with what's happening around you.
Yeah,
On the
I
more
totally agree.
positive side, that fantasy could become a gift when you step into the dreamer aspect of it and you become a visionary and you can dream up new concepts or ideas that you can bring through. And this ties in
Mhm.
with your 10 ones. Your 10 ones is really, really inventive. And it's invention from the spirit realm. So it's connecting with spirit, with soul, maybe even energies beyond what you can think of, where you can download inventions or ideas. And that can then be translated through into the seven, almost like through a fantasy or a vision or a dream. And then what you need to do then is you need to bring that into a manifestation. So that will tie us in with our 19.1, which is about really anchoring and grounding and rooting in whatever that invention is and making that real, packaging it. So healing modalities or books or stories or any approaches
Light
I
codes.
do, light codes, anything like that. Yeah, packaging it and putting it down into an anchored, grounded, physical form almost, so people can see that. And then, yeah, it's really about participation. With the seven in the challenge, there's a reticence to participate. And it's
Mm.
about we're stepping back. But what you want to learn is you want to get into a place where you just participate. I know this about your human design where you did because you and Philip Petra talked about the invitation. The 7-7 is that type of energy where it's almost like you feel I need to be invited. But here it is about if you're not going to be invited, start your own group, facilitate your own group, make your own invitation, allow yourself to call the people to you who you need. Does
Hmm.
that make sense?
Yep.
Okay. Let's have a look at the 3-3 energy over here, your talent. So 3-3 is about expression. It's about whether this expression could be in written form, whether it's painting or singing, dancing, acting, anything like that. This is all about expression. So you probably have a good voice, singing voice, and you need to be able to chant with that, speak with that, really good at writing and probably good at art as well. Um, anything that you can use to express yourself on a deep level. Now, this is something that would have come all the way through from childhood, and you may have experienced or expressed these energies even when you were younger. But what I do notice here is that in your spiritual goal, we've got a 21-3. So there's threes repeated over here. And so when this happens, it's almost like your soul is pulling you or pulling the attention towards this energy as well. And so the spiritual goal means that this is later on in life. It's sort of after 40. So it's almost,
Hmm.
I get the sense that you were involved with art and writing and expression, and then perhaps it may have fizzled out along the way, and then you're, as you get older, you are being pulled or drawn back to doing that expression of work. And so when you get to this new expression, it's like a new level and layer that's opening up, that is beyond what you started with. So your starting blocks that you had from you were younger, that's still there, but it's evolved into something a lot bigger and further. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. I used to doodle quite a bit. It never really left.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to be a comic artist and stuff. But it's only been in the last 10 years, so that would be 43 onwards, where writing has come into play. You know, I've always been able to write, but the articulation, the felt sense of the meaning, the essence of words, the real nuance between two words that might mean the same thing to normal
Mm.
people, and to actually use the right word to touch the piece of the soul that you're trying to connect
That's
with.
so typical three
Um,
energy.
yeah, and that's also coming through with my art, because it's just it's taken on a life of its own. It literally feels like it is me drawing, but it doesn't feel like it's me, Walter, drawing. It feels like when I'm in the zone, it feels like something else is actually pushing the artwork, something else is navigating the placements of the pictures and stuff.
Yeah. And it's really, really important for you to bring that expression out, because if that expression is stifled or held back or twisted or something like that, that's going to bring lots of frustration and perhaps even some anger on your side. Um, and yeah, I mean, if that's going to be pulled in towards the 7-7 energy, it could make you a little bit more of a hermit or more reticent to actually share the information or share the artwork or the spoken word or whatever comes through. So just keep expressing yourself. The threes are also really amazing when it comes to teaching. So teaching is always a wonderful way to learn and to share. Um, the three wants to, when you teach, you want to be able to help people to get to new depths of information. So the symbol itself here, you can see it's got many layers to this. And there is a little opening over here. So it is about almost like choosing or yeah, really thinking about who you want to share the information with, and then making sure that you've got that focus. Because if you're just going to share your message out into the open, there's going to be a lot of people who won't understand what it's about and who will probably not get it. And so then it's going to just land on deaf ears. So really want to almost like focus on your niche market that will tie in with your seven, which is about the like-minded people. But any form of expression, written word, painting, drawing, um, acting, singing, dancing, any of those things, you should be really, really good at all of those things. So it's a very creative energy. And yeah, there is also, when I'm looking at this, the yeah, 10-1 has almost like a sexual energy to it. The three also has that. So there's a quality of tantra or understanding tantra, or maybe sex and sexuality, perhaps a deep maybe a sexual desire or something when you were younger. As you grow up, it's about really stepping into understanding what that sexual energy is about and how to balance that. And when we talk about tantra, it's not just about sex, but it's also about the masculine and feminine energy, the balance of energy and how that flows. When it comes to tantra as well, it's about understanding the flow of kundalini energy, the understanding of the energy through the chakras. And so that could also take you through to working as an energy worker, perhaps even going into the field of sex therapy or sex education or something. I don't know if that's something that you've ever thought about. Um,
No, I think in terms of the Tantra, from the level that I actually use it, it's really to when people talk to me in session, I read where the energy sits
Mm.
or how it stirs, and I then use that as a way of um, finding a solution to facilitate
Yes.
the movement to a better level.
Mm. That's good. Perfect. So you are that's it is about that consciousness and understanding of the energy. Yay. Okay, then let's have a look at the 19.1 over here. With 19.1, this is about a vessel or a container. This could be either in the form of books or a healing center. It could be creation of music. It could even be creation of artwork. You mentioned you're doing the light codes. So it's that same thing. It's like containing the essence of an energy or something that you can then share with the world. The 19.1 wants to leave the world a better place. So it's about finding a way that you can um, have your vision or insight of, I want to see the world look like this, and then finding a way to then share that with the rest of the world. This is an extremely intuitive energy, and so it sometimes can be quite overwhelming, especially, I mean, this is still in the worldly triangle. So when you were younger, if that intuitive spark kicked up, you would have gone like, what's going on over here? There may have been some questioning around how to handle it, how to deal with it. But then when you step into your later part of life, it's like that you start to trust that intuition, that intuitive side more. Because very, very, very intuitive, this 19.1. This is really about diving in and trusting intuition almost more than what you trust the mind. Like
Mhm.
really working with the information that's coming through. And the 19.1s want to help other people reach their goals. So if we're looking at from a younger perspective, you wanted to, if you helped someone with a project, with anything, you were helping them because you wanted to see them become better. As you get older, that gets translated into the work that you do, where you help people to become better as well. It's just a slightly different approach in how it works. There's a very strong philanthropic nature here with the 19.1 with helping people. But I will also just say, because of the 13.4 that you've got in your spiritual challenge, you also need to learn how to nurture yourself, because I sense there could be times when you perhaps put others in front of you and you nurture them a lot more than what you nurture yourself. And so with this 19 and the 10, I mean, 10 is also service related energy. You've got this service energy over here. So a big chunk of your chart is service. And sometimes that service is then moved over onto other people instead of onto yourself when you need it, because you also need to know when to say no to all of those things.
Mhm.
And then sometimes you push really hard with this 21.3. So also needing to learn how to step back a little bit. Um, the 19.1 in general have a good sense of humor. So if you didn't have a good sense of humor when you were younger, it's in the goal. So it's something that you wanted to develop. How was your sense of humor back when you were younger? Did you have it, or did you have to
I'm a
develop that?
Capricorn.
Hey?
I'm a Capricorn.
So no sense of humor. Or
No,
even
I do have
sense
a
of humor.
dry sense of humor, but business first before fun. It's
Yeah.
like, but there are moments where I can be a bit silly, but more often than not, business first.
Yeah, you want to get more into the silliness because 19.1s are associated with laughter. So this is really
I
about,
do laugh a lot.
but you need to laugh more. So you need to have lots of fun with this laughter. Maybe we need to get you into some laughter yoga to
Oh
really
God,
get
no.
into that. So the laughter is something that's really good and powerful. You also have a 13.4, which is about the smile and about the radiance. And I find with the 13.4, it's more about the giggle, not so much about the out loud laughter. But because it's in the challenge, we're wanting to get into almost like opening up that space so that you can get into the laughter, because that's inviting you to get into this 19.1 where the laughter gets even bigger. Where that brings a good sense of humor, and it helps to raise the frequency just with that energy. The 19
Maybe that's where I
ones,
need to go.
so again,
Maybe I need to become a laughter yoga
laughter yoga
facilitator.
instructor. I'm looking forward to that one. So with our 19.1, there comes a great spiritual power. It's a really stable energy. So in your chart specifically, we don't really have a grounding, anchoring energy, if that makes sense. So your
Mm.
energies are really high vibe and high frequency, it's all up. But what the 19 does is it's got a stability to it. So even though the frequency is high, it's stable. Whereas a lot of the times you get higher frequency energies where it sort of floats around and it's all floaty. Within your chart, even though the energies are floaty and high vibe, there's a stability to that and a structure, which is really good. And so as a result, you have this ability to hold space for people, to teach, to perhaps step into more deeper like healing work and things like that. But what is important for you at some point, if you haven't done this yet, is you need to find a way that you can do compilations of your work, whether it's in a book or whether it is starting a studio or a healing space, maybe running retreats, and really stepping into the group activity where you choose who you want to invite into the space. So this is where you take the 7 quality and you marry it with the 19 to maybe do a retreat, or whether it is just holding small groups or something like that, and work with teaching and healing, um, readings and things like that. Those are all things that would tie in with this energy.
Okay.
Perhaps even going into something like yoga, because yoga is what your integration is with your 7. 7 is about integrating the head, the heart, and the gut. And so yoga is a really good way to do that. And that will help you to also reach this goal where you can hold space for the other people. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then let's have a look at the spiritual challenge over here, the 13-4. So you're a water baby. Do you like water?
I love water.
Okay.
My
You're
name
in
is
the,
Walter.
hey?
When I was younger, they used to call me Water Boy.
Water
Water
boy.
Boy.
Yeah. So the 13-4 is very strongly associated with water. So usually it doesn't, I find that doesn't matter where it comes in the chart. Um, the people are always very, very drawn to water, want to be surrounded by water, want to live near water, work with water, activated by water, and so forth. So any work that you can do in water, around water, is going to be something that's going to be very beneficial for you.
Mm-hmm.
13-4 in general is associated with teaching, nurturing. There's usually a soft, calm energy around them, and it's a very wise energy. Now, having mentioned soft and calm, in the challenge, that would be flip side. So in the challenge, it could be a little bit more rough and crazy. Like the energy could be a little bit more intense, maybe a little bit more aggressive, and
Mm-hmm.
less soft. And so the challenge here, or the growth opportunity, is to learn how to soften the energy, how to soften your own energy.
Yeah,
Um,
I can sort of relate to that because in my younger years, my teaching style was very much about the urgency
mm,
because I saw the potential. I was helping fellow students in chemistry.
mm,
I knew there was an exam coming up, so there was a harshness to the way I was teaching. I was trying to deliver as much as I could, and I know they were learning, but there was a demand on them to step up to recognize the urgency. So what I'm actually picking up from this, the healing from that, is to learn to trust that you can only deliver what you can, give what you can offer to the person, and what they can then receive, they will receive. If they're ready, they're ready. If they're not ready, they're not ready. But to deliver it from a space of trust, a trusting in yourself and a trusting in the bigger picture, and also the trusting that even if they don't pass the first time round, it's always a second time, a third, and a fourth.
yeah.
So it's not like a life or death, or there is no other option. It's really opening up to trust. I really feel that 13-4 is about trust.
Mm. This is also in combination with the 7, because what happens with the 7 is sometimes holding back, instead of teaching the whole story, holding back and deciding, oh, the person's only ready to receive this, and then only giving that piece of information. But how it works is if a person's not ready to receive it, it'll just wash over them. They won't hear it.
Mhm.
So it's with the 13-4 is going like, let's share this information, but share it in a soft, gentle, nurturing kind of way. If people receive it, they
Mhm.
receive it. If they don't receive it, they don't receive it. Um, With your 13.4, this would obviously happen somewhere later in life, as you got older, somewhere between your 30s and your 40s. We don't need to know when this happened, but sometimes you'll know when it happened, when certain of these qualities come to the surface quite strongly. So with the 13.4, it's got a strong sense of being abandoned, perhaps being unloved or rejected, or not feeling good enough, not feeling worthy. And so when this would have kicked in for you, I don't know how old you would have been, if you can remember any times like that. Is there anything that stands out for you?
I think in terms of the fact that 34 is about the nurturing energy, the most prominent thing that happened around the age of 35 to 39 was when Michael, my partner at the time, was diagnosed with
Mm,
cancer. So the urgency to nurture, to care, to look after. And I was supported by the medical system. We were supported, but in terms of supported by the universe is where I felt
that's
I
where the
failed.
abandonment then came from, the feeling
Exactly. So
of
I
abandonment.
thought I felt like the universe had failed me. I thought the universe had failed him.
Mm,
And that was a healing journey in itself because I had to heal the idea of what I thought the universe owed me. You
mm,
know, that again, it's like from a human perspective, it's like, no, I want him to live, or no, I'll accept that he's dead. But from a soul perspective, it's like it's all just one journey, that even if you fail this first time, there's a second, a third, fourth, fifth, whatever.
mm.
So that I think that was really within the age of 35 to 39. I think culminating really around 38 years old,
Okay.
when it really peaked, that I felt that the whole system, as in my relationship to the universe, was like fucked up. Sorry about the language, but I thought it was
Now you can use
broken.
any language.
But it didn't feel like it was looking after me. And I guess in a sense, I had to learn to look after myself. So that's when I started the whole um, energy medicine, learning about how to actually move energy around, that sort of thing. So it had its positive and its negatives, but I think the negatives catalyzed the positive
Right.
aspects.
That's why I marked this 10-1. The 10-1 is when you start going onto the spiritual journey. That's when you start going into the healing work. And so even though you had this abandonment over here and the sort of feeling of unloved or unsupported, that catapulted you into a space where you could step into a more spiritual way of being, but perhaps going into the healing world, and learning how to work with that. But then
Yeah.
also the 21-3 is about endurance and pushing through and working really hard, perhaps not resting as often as you should have. So we can actually see how this triangle, like quite physically, actively manifested for you around that age 35 to 39. So that's actually a really strong indication of when this activated for you. So before that, you were mainly going around in the worldly triangle. And then when you get
Mm-hmm.
to this age, the spiritual triangle activated. Worldly triangle is still there, so you still have to work with it. But now we are in the spiritual triangle where there's another layer added onto everything. The 13.4 in the challenge, they could come across as like a frosty exterior, or maybe even a little bit abrasive or abrupt. And it is
Mm-hmm.
usually because there's so much happening in life, and you turn within, and you are so focused on what's happening in around you or with you, that the rest is sort of not important. You were in a unique situation where you had a lot happening in your life, where you had to turn within, but at the same time you had to turn without to focus on someone else as well. The focusing on someone else is actually the healing with the 13.4. So in a way, even though you had a really harsh experience or tough experience there, that was part of the healing at the same time. So you got the medicine at the same time as this activated, which is actually a huge blessing. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
the confidence levels may have gone down a little bit here as well, because the 13.4 is about confidence. And when we've got the 3 over here, this is usually quite a strong, confident energy. But going through the abandonment and the lack of love or unsupport, that could lead you to sort of betrayal scenarios where you feel betrayed, and then you start isolating yourself again, folding more into your story and what's happening. And then you become detached from the world around you, which then takes you back into this sort of 7-7 hermit-like quality where you pull away from society, perhaps even pull away a little bit to some degree from spirituality, but luckily you had the 10-1 over here that pulled you towards the spirituality, which is, I think, what would be the saving grace over here. How was your sense of smell when you were younger, and how is your sense of smell now?
My sense of smell from a, as in physical sense,
Mm.
it's not great. It has never been. I've always had like sinus issues.
Mm.
But if you ask me to sniff something out psychically, I can smell it.
That's
I
what I'm
can't
getting
smell it
at.
physically, but I can smell it psychically. So
Yes.
whatever that means.
So the 13-4 is psychic sense of smell. So that's why I asked you,
Okay.
like when you were younger, you may not have been aware of it, but as you got older, that would have been something that comes more to the surface. Perhaps you were drawn during this time, maybe also more to aromatherapy or working with fragrances, working with oils or incenses or things like that. That may have been something that sparked up an interest around this age for you. And this is something that you can work with. You can develop that sense of smell and continue developing that as you go through.
Well, I did actually think I wanted to actually consider creating a product based on essential oil combinations
Hmm.
from a person's birth chart to
Yes,
create a specific scent, create
yes.
a specific scent that was more in line with the person's essence on
Mhm.
their birth chart.
That would also then tie into the 19-1 where you create a product, you create something. So those would all be
Mm,
really good for you if you do that. With your 13-4, what also had to happen at this time was you had to activate your maternal instinct. You had to activate that nurturing instinct. So, in a way, what happened with you um, and just this whole scenario was actually there as a catalyst for you to step into that role of caring for someone else while also caring for yourself. And it was there to
mhm.
catapult you into your 10-1 quality. So you need to, I don't know if you've done any work around that relationship and maybe not forgiveness work perhaps, but really like step into a place of acknowledgement of what happened there and how it got you onto your journey and
Oh
acknowledge
yeah,
also acknowledging how far you have come. Do you ever
absolutely.
give yourself a pat in the back and say, well done for everything I've done?
No, I pat myself in the back, but at the same time,
Right.
I also see the situation that happened as a needed catalyst that I, as a soul, needed to undergo to actually be where I am today. That even Michael had undertaken the role as the dying partner for that particular reason.
Yeah, good. Um, as I'm looking at the three, the three is associated with wealth and abundance. So
Hmm.
it normally indicates in the talent that wealth, abundance, money, and finance they come quite easy to you. 13-4 is about fertility, infertility. So there is also an abundance quality to that. But with the 13-4 in the challenge, it would sort of go more with up and down, perhaps struggling financially, almost like going up, down the whole time. We want to get to a place where that can go continuously up or at least stay level. Um, but the important thing to remember here is when finances go down, it usually has a direct relation to self-worth because our 3-3 is self-worth. So these two would tie in with each other. So when finances go down, check where your self-worth is lying and then work on self-worth more so than maybe working on manifestation or getting more money in somehow. Work on the self-worth. As the self-worth comes up, that's going to bring the balance in. It's going to help to flow more on that level. And as the 13-4 steps into the positive, into the talent, which I think that you had the opportunity to really work quite deeply with this energy, and therefore you could have twisted that energy around quite fast. That would also get you into a place where financially you would be better off. Perhaps you would have had around the time 34 or whatever, after 40 or so, perhaps financially things were becoming more stable for you. Um, and it would have been a little bit stronger. And that's just what you want to do is you want to focus on that self-worth quality. Again, just also with the 21-3, that 3 echoing over there takes us back to the self-worth. So it's for me, when something is in a spiritual goal, this is ongoing work. This is work that you're going to continue doing until you've mastered all of that. So this is ongoing work, that self-worth and working with the worth. And I would just say keep smiling. You need to use that smile. You need to shine your light. You need to be radiant. You need to get your light out into the world. Don't hide the light. I think with the 13-4 and the challenge, it would be something that you may have done where you again tie in with a 7 and sort of hide behind maybe even like putting your light on under a bucket under the bed type thing. So you really need to get into a place where you can confidently shine your light and be out there. The 10-1 actually has the one quality has a lighthouse factor to it. I call it the lighthouse energy because it's really about shining your light brightly and allowing people to receive the light or not. If they are ready to receive it, they receive it. If they don't want to receive it, they don't receive it. And you just keep shining your light. You don't hold back. And you don't go like, oh, you're not ready to receive my light, so I'm not going to give it to you. The 10-1 just goes like, I'm shining my light. And so that ties in with this radiant quality of the 3. And if you combine that with the laughter and the brightness, yeah, because here you've got a 1 again, a 1, 1. So you've got lots of that lighthouse energy in your chart. Shine your light. Don't be afraid to shine your light and share that with the people. If people are not ready to receive it or they don't want to receive it, they can move away or they'll move somewhere else with that. That one makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay, then our 10-1s, I'm going to sort of bundle these two up together because it's the talent is also the soul destiny. The soul destiny is like a bigger goal. So the goals are what you want to achieve, and the soul destiny is like an overall goal that you want to achieve in life. This 10-1 energy is one of our highest frequencies energies that we have within all of Soul Plan. So the main keyword with a 10-1 is balance. And that would tie in with our 7-7, where it's also about integration. So if we take all of these together, that's balance and integration. And the balance and integration comes through the heart. So whatever it is that you wanted to do in life has to come through the heart space. That is of utmost importance. And if you can integrate the head and the heart and the gut and the heart, then that's really where we want to be. The 10-1s are super inventive. Your inventions don't come from worldly thinking. It's usually downloads that's received from somewhere. It's like just ideas that drop into your head from nowhere and you go, I've got this idea. I don't know where it came from, but I'm going to do it. And you really want to take these ideas and put them into some form of container. Make them active, make them real, make them be there. If you're going to have ideas and concepts and just let them float in your head, they're going to just float out of the head. You're going to forget about them along the way. You may remember them later on, but really commit that inventions to at least commit it to paper so that you can then later on commit that concept, because we don't want there is a little bit of a procrastination quality here, or a quality where you get distracted and then say, okay, I'll do it later. I'll remember, and then you forget about it and it fizzles out. So if you commit it to paper and then find a way to make that a reality, even if you don't know how to, find a way, perhaps connect with people who may know how to do that. This is really, really important for you. And at the core of all of it is balance. So whatever you do, whether you are pushing hard to learn or whether you are studying or whatever it is you're doing, you want to find a way to bring it through in a very balanced way. Because our 10-1 is about the masculine and feminine, the positive, the negative, the yin and the yang. So you want to get all of those energies in. 10-1 is really good at healing. So any work to do with healing, stepping into the world as a healer, and perhaps even going as far as teaching healing would be really beneficial to you. There's a very strong vocal expression with a 10-1. The 3 also has a vocal expression. So if we look at vocals over here for 10-1, the 3 has it, the 21-3 will have that as well. That's a massive chunk of your chart that is to do with vocal expression. So you need to find a way that you can teach, share, chant, tone, get a message out into the world in whatever shape or form it is. but the voice is really important. So if you are going to go into something like sound healing or sound or vibrational healing, it really is about using the voice, singing, speaking, chanting, toning, channeling. This is a very strong channeling quality. Trust your channel, trust the information that's coming through.
Mhm.
It's a very strong spiritual connection with the 10-1. Because it isn't a talent, you're naturally drawn to spirituality and spiritual practices. What you want to do, though, is you want to find a way that you can take that connection to source and pull that energy down and bring it into the physical world, tie that into the 19-1, where you can package it and share it with other people, share it with the world, leave the world a better place than what you found the world. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does.
Now,
I
yeah,
just sort of felt a bit of resistance with the idea of packaging it.
that's the resistance.
No. I'm gonna try and do some work around that because
Yes.
I think there's a felt sense that packaging feels almost vulgar to the energy that I want to bring in. And it's like if I put it in a packet, it feels like it becomes less, not viable, it just becomes less sacred.
Yes.
But I'll work on
That's
that and see what I can
this
do.
is the dynamic over here that's sort of this vulgar package, because your 7 is about that authenticity and heart space. So the
Mm,
question is, how do I package this heartfelt feeling or energy and be able to share that? How that package is going to look, we don't know. It could be individual packages that you send out to people, as in individual um, codes or messages or meditations or whatever, or it could be something that's more general for the public. That's going to be entirely up to you, but you need to be within your authenticity. If something doesn't feel right for you, then you're not doing it. Very,
mm.
very important.
Okay.
So when you do a package, I'm not saying like spit everything out and make a package from that,
Yeah, I know.
but really be true to your heart. What works for you, that needs to go out. But anything to do with healing modalities, healing energies, because as you've got this very strong healing quality here, you've got the expression over here. You need to find a way to share that expression with the world as well. And if you can then get that through to the package side, that's where the magic lies. Usually, I find in the goals, especially the worldly goals, people have a resistance to that aspect. Whatever the energy is here, whether it's a doesn't matter what the energy is that people have in that goal, a lot of times people will have a resistance to that. And that is part of the challenge, that's part of the growth. It's about stepping through that discomfort and stepping into that space and going like, I can do this. I want to do this. And now how am I going to find a way that's going to work for me? Remember, with the alien soul energy, you're not from here. So you're almost like playing a different rule book to this planet. And instead of trying to conform to how the planet wants you to be and how the planet wants you to present to the planet who and what you are, and let the planet then accept you for who and what you are. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So
Again, it's
embrace,
shine my light.
yeah, embrace the fact that you're an alien, be the alien that
Yeah,
you are, and just say, hello, world, I'm here, I'm an alien. Take it, don't take it. Leave it if you
yeah.
can leave it. Yeah. And then bring that through, because there will be people who will be attracted to that. You'll find other people who will connect with that and they'll be drawn to that particular energy. Okay. Um, and then let's have a look at your 21-3. The 21-3 here is about stability and endurance, and also about energy. So this is about
Mm,
stamina, really pushing through. It's got a very strong expressive quality to it. This tends to lean more into the writer side of things, where the 3-3 is like writing, singing, speaking, acting, a whole range of them. The 21-3 focuses a lot more on the writing side. So really getting the right words written down, really perhaps even going into writing a book if we combine that with the 19 over here. But it is about endurance work. It's about setting goals and achieving goals. And if we looked at the whole energy of your chart earlier, there was a little bit of a scattered quality to it. The 21-3 is saying, can we get that energy focused in? Then can we get a goal set up, and can we meet our goals? When I set a goal, can I meet that goal? You don't have to be very big on the goals. It could be smaller goals. Small goals lead you to a big goal, but you need to do that goal setting. It's really important for you to actually get to a place where you can get to that point. Any form of creative work again will be beneficial for you. The and if it's about communication, that's really going to be good as well. You may be on some level attracted to endurance sports, or maybe pushing the body a little bit further just to see what can I do with this body. So anything, if we tie in with the 7, which is yoga orientated, you may want to go to a little bit more of a stronger form of yoga, like hatha yoga, but like Iyengar style, where you really push a little bit beyond. Perhaps even vinyasa, where you can build up a sweat, or Kundalini yoga, where you can work with endurance and really pushing through. You may find something like a yin yoga a little bit boring, but the 10 one will do really well with a yin yoga. So maybe find a balance between all of
Maybe
those.
find the balance.
Yes, find the balance. Do a bit of yin, then go a bit of vinyasa, then you go a bit of hatha, then you go a bit of kundalini, and then you go back to a yin. Do a combination. Yeah, those are really good things for you. The 21 threes are amazing communicators, and they are really good in the leadership role. Um, the leadership quality that you will have will probably be a little bit different to what is seen, because of this 10-1 quality. The 10-1 is the lighthouse. I'm shining the light, and I'm leading by shining the light. I don't really need to see my audience. The 7 is saying, I want to lead, but I want to lead small groups. And the 21-3 goes like, well, I'm just a leader. I don't really care who I lead. So what you can do is just do the whole shining of the light, be the beacon that you are, and get the energy out there for the world to see. Does that one make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is just for just time constraints, because obviously we can keep going deeper and deeper and deeper and on and on and on. But for time constraints, I'm going to pause the reading over here, and then what we're going to do is we're going to move into the grace clearing.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, are you okay with that?
I am. Thank you.
Okay, just while we taking that little bit of a pause, I hope the students are also okay. So let's move on to grace clearing, and then let's see how that all goes. Okay, so let's get comfortable again. Close your eyes and just nice, slow, deep breathing. Drop into your heart. Just get a sense of what the energy feels like in the heart. Perhaps compare it to how it felt earlier before we started the reading. Perhaps there's a change for you. From your heart, send a connection to my heart. I do the same. From your heart, send a connection to the all that is. Perhaps just remembering that at the beginning of the session, we connected with the all that is already. Just remember that connection. Remembering the connection that we formed from heart to heart, and from your heart to the heart of the earth. And see if throughout this session you could just focus your energy and your attention on the connection that you have with the heart of the all that is, just so that we can ground the energies to come. Through this process, I'll guide you through with everything I'm doing. There'll be commands. So you just keep your eyes closed, be like a sponge, just soak it up. If you don't remember anything, it's also okay. We do have it recorded, so you can always come back to this. I ask that the hologram representing blockages formed through this and other relevant incarnations appear in front of this being. Show me or let me know the soul record hologram representing this being's current soul plan status. So I'm tuning into the energy that sits behind you to give an idea as to how life was before you were in alignment with your chart. And the image that comes to mind is, it looks almost like white paint peeling off a wall. So I'm seeing pieces of the broken wall sitting behind, and I've got the paint peeling off. I'm trying to sort of step back from the image, but it's almost like the more I step back, it's almost like this wall is following me. And so it feels like there's perhaps something, there's the wall feels hidden behind the paint, and yet the paint feels like it should be there to protect, but it is peeling off. So there's a bit of a conflict. Like I want to see the wall, but I also want to see the paint on the wall. I'm going to tune into the hologram of how life would be once you are in alignment with the chart. And the image that comes to mind is like one of those macro shots where you take a camera and you shove it right underneath a mushroom. And I can literally see this mushroom growing up. It's like this beautiful, big, massive, it's almost like a glowing mushroom. And it feels like it is just this giant mushroom growing up. So I feel quite small in like looking at the surroundings. It feels like I'm in a beautiful forest. There's fireflies going around. It feels like it's nighttime, and yet the whole place is lit up. Like there's an energy and there's colors and vibrancy, and everything's glowing. So it feels almost like some space in Avatar or something. It's quite magical. As I'm trying to sort of zoom out a little bit and get a bigger part of the picture, it just feels like this surrounding world is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It's really, really expansive. And there's a sense of awe and wonder and freedom and excitement as I'm looking at this hologram. So it's actually really beautiful to see compared to the sort of peeling paint that we had earlier, which was very dense and like lifeless almost. I'm going to return this holograms back to source. I'm going to do that with an out breath. Return to source. I ask this energy to be cleared and then to be returned to the divine original blueprint. And through the divine law of grace, may this being be cleared of all blockages and patternings from past and ancestral, present life and parents, future life and causal, now. Then you're restored to your divine original blueprint and realigned with your truest purpose in this now moment. I ask for this energy blueprint to be integrated at the DNA levels and throughout this being's energy bodies and systems. And while this energy is integrating on your DNA levels and into your bodies and systems, I'm going to read you a soul message for the 10-1 in your soul destiny. So just be like a sponge and soak up the message. All there is love. All there is now. All there is infinite sweetness. All there is light, steeped deeply, securely, steadfast, and at one with this power, you gently flow with the apparent reality. Take refuge in all that is. There is no other way. All apparent choices were also part of this. All apparent choices are also part of you. I'm going to read you your worldly challenge affirmation. So for the 7-7, as I learn to trust, I open my heart. As I open my heart, I learn to trust. As I learn to trust, I open my heart. As I open my heart, I learn to trust. As I learn to trust, I open my heart. As I open my heart, I learn to trust. And then your affirmation for your spiritual challenge of the 13-4. I am love. I give love. I accept love. I am love. I radiate love. I am bathed in love. I am loved. I am love. I am loved. I am love. I am loved. I am love. I am love. I give love. I accept love. I am love. I radiate love. I am bathed in love. I am loved. I am love. I am loved. I am love. I am loved. I am love. I am love. I give love. I accept love. I am love. I radiate love. I am bathed in love. I am loved. I am love. I am loved. I am love. I am loved. I am love. Becoming aware of the connections you formed, heart, to the heart of the earth, to the heart of all that is, and to your soul. Just easily and gently allow those connections to dissolve. Coming back into this space, becoming aware of your body, and just firmly plant your feet into the ground. It's grounding the energies. And when you're ready, you may open your eyes.
It's very nice. Thank you.
Welcome back. Okay, so everybody, are you still with us? You still awake?
Yes.
How are you all feeling?
Good. Good to have seen a reading, to have seen how it actually goes. Yeah.
So that was a real reading. And even though I know Walter, I used information from the book straight out. So, Walter, how was that? Did you connect with that?
I did a lot of what you did, and I think I even drew pictures of the soul images before you actually mentioned what you saw, and that's for the paint peeling,
Yes.
and that was
That's a
for the
mushroom.
after. I saw a sunflower, and that was blocks that you saw as paint
Wow.
peeling. So
How cool
I
is
think
that?
it's beautiful confirmation.
That's amazing. Yay. Okay, cool. We didn't plan this beforehand. I promise. So have you guys got any questions around what just happened? Or can I just, I'm going to just quickly show you what I would normally do for a client as well. So after a reading, I would say to the person, I'm going to share two documents with them. One document will be just keywords about their soul plan, and I'll quickly just share with you that so that you can see what it looks like. This is the way I personally set it up. You don't have to set it up like this. Like I said, I'm a bit of an Excel person, so I've done everything in Excel, so it's all set up so that they have their, oops, wrong symbol over there. I'll have to, whoa, all the symbols are wrong. Anyway, I'll send a proper updated version of this one where the correct symbols are in. Guys, and then what will happen is because the symbols are correct in here, yeah, they're correct in the bottom. So in the bottom section, there'll be all the symbols plus the focus, positives, negatives, affirmations, and things like that. So it's just the basic words that you would get in your manual. So I share this as a document with the client. And then I also share a self-help document where I give the limiting beliefs for the two challenges. I bring in the soul message. If there was a dominant vibration, I'll add that in. So I just added a 3-3 dominant vibration just so that you can see how I would add this in. I would give the worldly challenges affirmation. And I sometimes like to also include the worldly goals affirmation, depending on where the person was. In the case of Walter, there was a resistance to the packaging. So in this case, the worldly goal affirmation would also come in really handy for that. There's spiritual challenge and spiritual goal affirmations. And then I give through the Bach flower remedies. If there's any other information like the self-help techniques for the challenges. And then I've also got that Bach flower remedies and challenges. You can also add in the crystals. So whatever is going to support and help the person, that all goes into the document. And I just see now that I've got a little block over there that I would remove that block so that it's just a straight line. So obviously I'll do this as a neat and tidy document. But what I'll do is I'll share these documents with you guys so that you can also just have a look at what I do. You don't have to do the same. I like to give the client something afterwards so that they have, especially for this self-help techniques, and I want them to know their limiting beliefs. Because I would tell the person, if there's any one of these limiting beliefs or more than one of these limiting beliefs that's affecting you, I can help you with these afterwards. We can use kinesiology, we can use soul transformation therapy. We've got ways of working with limiting beliefs. So if you get tripped up by one of these energies, let me know. I'm here to support you. Okay. But with this document, there is also there are self-help techniques. So here is about the client taking responsibility for themselves. There's things that they can do to go. There's books to read. There's approaches to do. So these books is something that comes from my background and my research. If you've got any self-help technique that you can think of that you want to share with your client, you can add those into that as well. But the self-help is really for the client to take responsibility for their own chart and also for their own development. And don't forget to add your contact details on. Okay, does that help?
Do you still need me here?
Well, we're going to be tying it up now, so you can, if you want to, you can farewell, and I'll see you in a few
All
minutes.
right, ladies, have a
So
great time. I'm sure you will enjoy reading each other, and go well.
Thank you for being our guinea pig.
Squeak, squeak.
Squeak, squeak. Okay, how are we all feeling?
Confused.
Confused?
Yeah.
Why? Where's the confusion?
And there's so much information, you
Yes, it
know,
is information. There is lots.
and I won't be in the flow when I do not know the meaning of all, you know. I mean, you
Work
make
with
connections between everything and
that
you
comes
know,
with
can see
time.
the big picture. I just see me going very rigid, you know, looking, and I cannot see the big picture though.
That's
And you,
all fine. Start in the beginning, we all start off slowly. We all start off going like, okay, this is the information. As you get more proficient, you'll start making the connections. As you start getting, don't worry about getting to that now. I also started off just like we're only focusing on 7-7 now. Nothing else exists. It's just 7-7 that exists. Now talk only about that. And then, okay, now let's only talk about this. What happens is through the process, I used to work almost like reverse engineer it. I would go 7-7-7-7-7-7, and then I get to the 10. Then I would start linking 10 back to the 7 because now I can see how the patterns work. And then when I get to the 19, it's this 19. Ooh, the 19 connects to the 10. Oh, I see it connects to the this. So I would work backwards. And then by doing a lot of readings, and I've done many readings, I learned to do the connections and how to do that. So don't rush with that.
but here you also mention the numbers and the mini readings. You say we are not supposed to mention numbers.
Yes. So when you are like in my case, what I had was I had the chart up so the client can see what I'm talking about. But when you don't have a chart up for a person to see, you've got the chart in front of you. So if you try and describe to the person, I've got a 4 sitting in your worldly challenge, they don't know what you're talking about. So if the chart is not available or visible for the client, then it's best not to mention the numbers and just rather talk about the energy. Does that make sense? But if you have the chart in front of them, you can point to it and say, okay, this particular energy means that. Then you can talk about the numbers. But just be aware that if you are talking about numbers and stuff, if a person can't see it, they don't know what you're talking about. But so that's why when I do in-person readings, I always make sure that I've got a chart with me, even if it's a hand-drawn chart. Then I put it down on the desk. upside down. So it's sitting forward for the client. And I say, okay, over this energy over here, that's about this. This energy connects to that one. So I tend to doodle while I'm talking, like the same. You saw how I was scribbling on screen. That's the way that I've always done. But then you get other people who just sit, like Blue just sits like this and he reads and he doesn't mention where he is in the chart. He doesn't mention the numbers or anything like that. He just talks. And you go like, where's he getting all this information from? Where's this coming from? But that's his way of delivering. Ultimately, we deliver all of the information. I'm going to show you something quick. I'll let you in on a secret. So I'm going to share quickly here. No, what am I doing now? Share this. I'm trying to click in the wrong place. Share. Okay. Here is a spreadsheet. Oops. Let me just get this window a little bit smaller. Here's a spreadsheet. It's got the basic information about the 7. There's the limiting beliefs. Scroll down. There's the challenges. There's the positive aspects. Worldly talent 3-3. Worldly goal. Here's all of this. Is all the information for the reading that I just delivered. So what I have is I've got this up on my screen, and I'm not looking at anything particular. What will happen is as I'm talking, my eyes will land on isolated, and then I will bring isolated into the story. How does isolated fit in? Then as I'm talking, control, my eye lands on control, and then I go, oh, okay, how do I bring control in? And then as I'm working up, sub-personalities may come in. And then I talk about that. So even though I've got a whole page full of notes, I don't sit and go, okay, there's a desire to escape from it all, you're a hermit, get away from people. Okay, you want to hide from the world. I don't do the reading like that. You saw how I was doing the reading. Yeah. And so you saw how I made it organic. I didn't make it look like I was reading from a list. The notes are there. It's okay to use notes, especially if you're going to do like 6 or 7 or 8 charts. You're not going to remember everything you download for the client. You have to have notes. But we don't want to sit and read the notes in front of the client. You know what I mean? Does that make sense? So this is my prep. This is my preparation for the reading. I spend the time to prepare the information, but I'm not reading it all. And also, as you go through, there's certain things that you may have found that I may not have even touched on. And it's just because it didn't draw my attention. It didn't feel like it was important. So I'm following with where my eye drops on the page as I'm doing the reading. Does that make sense? Does that make it a little bit less scary?
I don't know. It's helpful. It's definitely helpful.
You want to have notes. The notes is important. Okay. Like I said, now where I am, Philippa, you would have seen that at Retreat Yourself. Client comes to sit down, and I say, give me your name. I put the name in. I say, okay, let's look at your chart. Okay, here we go. And I rattle off and I keep going. And I don't need the notes. But I did the notes on purpose for this particular one because it's someone I know and it's someone I know really well. And I don't want my own influences or my own thinking to come involved. And in this reading, I have actually learned a few things about him that I actually didn't know. And that was what came through with the information that was delivered. So I actually, when I do, especially if I'm doing friends, I definitely want to have my notes in front of me. And I actually spend more time getting the notes because I'll sit there with the notes and I'll say, okay, again, if I have my notes, I'll print it out. I'll have it in front of me. I'll talk to the person. My eyes will land on a word and I'll bring it into the story. In situations where you're not sure, ask the client a question. It's their reading, but they don't have to just sit there and be quiet. So have a conversation with them. If while you're talking, if you find, oh, you can also do this, that'll help you, help them with that. Like give them a book title or something. Sometimes you'll download or you'll go, oh, you know what? Hypnosis is actually really good for this. Maybe you want to consider hypnosis later on, but let's continue with your reading. So if you've got any healing modalities or anything that you already do, feed those in, share that with the client as well. Yeah.
Okay.
How are you all feeling? Any other questions? Hi, Nicolette.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hello, guys. Thank you. I have questions,
Yes.
but they might be, well, I'm just going to ask them.
Yes, let's ask.
Yes. So, okay, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 questions.
Mhm.
Let's start with a quick and easy one. What are the grounding energies?
Something like the 8s. You've got a 21-3 that could be anchoring in a way. Any of your, let's quickly go. I've got a correspondence chart. Let me quickly see if I can find that, because then I can share that with you guys as well. Where would that be? Let me see if I can locate this. This is the PNG correspondence tables. Ah, here's one. Okay, so let's share this with you. Share, and it is a PDF. Okay, so here is, like, there's all of your 22 energies. This particular chart is about all of your spiritual energies. So these spiritual energies, they will have more of a floaty energy to them. So they go more of an up type thing. These are creative energies. Creative energies have a pulling down quality to them. So they can have a grounding feature to them if the person steps into that creative nature. I'll share this with you guys. I'll put it into your list of notes. Here's the physical ones. The physical ones are the real nice anchoring, grounding qualities. So your 4, 8, 21-3, like I mentioned, the 19-1, 11-2, 17-8. These are the grounding qualities. So they help to almost like physicalize or ground the chart. Here's the teaching and communication ones. So they are all about speaking or communicating, teaching, sharing information. Even the 9 could fit into this, 10 could fit into this, but these are your nice strong ones with that. Here's your catalytic numbers, the ones that can bring about change. And so what you could do is you could form other tables like this with the numbers where you put them together, and it just helps you to have an idea of a sense of what the numbers are all about. But like I said, like especially with the teaching, I can definitely add 8 into this. I can add 9 into this. I can add 11 in. I can add all of 4 of those in, and maybe even 6. So there's a lot. Maybe even this one, 89. So there's a lot of energies that are out there. These are the basic ones that Blue shared initially. But like, I mean, as we look through them, as you get to know the numbers, you'll also find other numbers that'll fit. But these are your big grounding energies.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So I'll share this one with you guys.
Something with the catalytic
Say again?
energy.
Yeah.
May I ask, with the catalytic energy, say now the person in their chart has a lot of catalytic energy, a lot of numbers.
I found this on the web for the person in the chart has a lot.
Sorry,
Check it.
sorry, you silly bum. Would that then represent that this person what would that actually mean? Let me know.
Okay, so catalytic energies bring about change, and it's for the person themselves and also for others. So in general, catalytic energies can be quite intense. So if a person's got a lot of these energies in the chart, their chart can be quite intense. If a chart is intense, a person could almost like try and run away from themselves because they haven't learned how to work with the intensity, or they've got to learn how to work with the intensity. The intensity could also almost like push other people away, or it could draw people in. It just brings the intensity to the chart. So like, for example, in my chart, I've got a 7. I've got a number of 9s. I've got 3 9s in my chart. I've got a 12 in my chart, and I've got a 17-8 in my chart. So I've got 4 of these catalytic numbers in my chart, and I've got 3 of the 9s. That's like quite a energy.
Intense chart.
And
So what would be?
It took me a long time to like get to know my energy and to be okay with my own energy before I could share that with others. I ran away from my own energy initially first as well.
And like it seems so strange to me because your energy doesn't seem intense.
Yes.
I mean, you're great, but it doesn't feel intense. It actually feels very calming and grounding.
And that's the more you step into alignment with who you are, when you embrace the intensity, then it doesn't become intense anymore. It softens out. It becomes a big energy, but not like,
Yeah.
which is what it used to be if you had met me years ago.
But
And
based
what?
on,
Again, Nyame?
oh, I was saying, but based on when I looked at your profile, I could just knew that you were intense person in terms of learning. Of course, then you didn't bring that over to us, but I could see that in the past it was like, yes, let's go.
Yeah, very, very intense.
Yeah.
And what would be, because I know you share the self-help books and the different things. So what would be like reasonable, because I like giving people easy, that's just generally, what would be like easy steps for a person to sort of follow to completely become into an acceptance then with that catalytic energy? The actionable things to integrate.
I would say shadow work and authenticity. So the Brené Brown books, Power of Vulnerability, and Debbie Ford, Dark Side of Light Chasers. So it depends also where it lies. With some people, they've got to do inner child work. So inner child work can also help. It's anything where you can help to integrate the person.
And then when there's 2 or more 10 ones in a chart, like we just saw now, the soul is not from here. So when the client asks, so where am I from? What do you say?
You'll know when you can take that further. Well, usually, I've not come across one of these people where there's 2 10 ones in the chart. If you say to them you're an alien soul, they immediately go yes. They just know. I've never once had a person who go like, "What do you mean alien? Where is that from?" I've never had that before.
But where are they from then?
Not here, not Earth. Any other planet, but not here. So for that concept to land, you need to believe in reincarnation or perhaps parallel lives. Usually, if you're going to get someone with 2 10 ones, if you say you're an alien soul, I'm not saying you're an alien, but you're saying you're an alien soul, they will get it. I have had ones where they had a client where there were 2 10 ones, and I got a really strong message, just or sensation or intuition, not to mention alien soul. But what I had to mention to the person is you feel like an outsider, you feel like you don't belong here. And it was true because the person was not from the country and was almost like a refugee in the place, not really connected with the place. And so in that case, I intuitively knew not to mention alien or alien soul. So it was more, the word then became outsider, like you don't belong, you don't fit in. So trust your intuition and how intuition presents itself and how you are guided to present the words.
So this brings me to another question. There's a lady I know, we became friends. She has 2 mental disorders. The one is bipolar. And she's 30 now, and she also feels like the only time she's acceptable to society is when she uses drugs, goes to festivals, and etc. Then last night, I just out of curiosity, just took a chart, and starting from the worldly challenges, she's got 9, then 5, 8, 11 2, 10 1, 7 and 10 1 again. Okay, so she's got a whole bunch of doubles and then 2 10 ones. One's in the worldly goal and the soul destiny.
See, the 9 in the worldly challenge is quite a tough one because that's about power and power struggles. And then the 5 in the next one down is also super sensitive, probably trying to block all the emotions she's feeling. She's an empath. 8-8 is very sensitive as well. And then the 10 on top of that, especially if there's 2, feels like she doesn't belong. So she's overwhelmed by what's happening around. There's too much things. So drugs and the alcohol and things like that would numb the senses so that she can feel like she belongs a little bit. Yeah, so you can definitely see all of that in there, the patterns.
So my question is, I'm not talking about your other stuff like narcissism or that. That's the next question. But your mental struggles, I don't like to call it a disorder or disease, like bipolar, for example. Could that be because of an intense chart like this?
Yes, yes. And that's my thing is I believe that anybody with bipolar or like it used to be called manic depression can be cured if you understand the dynamics of your chart. I myself went through very severe depressions where I would be, they called me manic depressive. That was before the whole bipolar story came out, because I would be ecstatic and on the top of the world and happy, and then 2 minutes later I would be depressed and down in the dumps for no reason. And it was like that up and down. And the whole thing for me was to get to grips with who and what I was all about, and to step into my own power, to not be like me in corporate doesn't work. I'm like, I wanted to fight with the boss and with everyone. Once I stepped out of that and I embraced who I was, and I stepped into the world that I wanted to be involved in and doing the work that I wanted to do, that depression disappeared like overnight. So when you are in line with your purpose, then that sort of disorder or in whatever it may be, like up and down, the upheavals, all of those things settle out. So the intensity that I would have had, the intense energy that I had, the aggression and things like that, those things are gone because I'm more in alignment with who I am. So now what happens is, like Philippa said, my energy may be big, but it doesn't feel intense. And so it's something that we work through, and with the reading we can learn how to harness that energy and how to accept the energy.
Yeah, because she can't even keep a job. She can't work. It's just, she's always locked in the house. She's a real hermit.
Yeah, so you may want to offer a reading to her, and perhaps even if you've got healing modalities, maybe support her a little bit along the way. I would say that if you are going to give her a reading, there must be some form of exchange. So don't do it as a freebie, because freebies are not appreciated.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
the big thing is you want the person to take responsibility for themselves. So even if she's not going to pay you in money, there must be some form of exchange, because you're going to be spending a lot of time working out the chart and getting the information together before you share it with her. So you need to find some form of compensation for that.
Then my last question, and this I have to ask. Okay, I'm not a psychiatrist, so I'm not allowed to label, but there are energies like your very extreme narcissists or your psychopaths, or the ones where the wiring in the brain is different. Okay. Now, when the chart is a beautiful chart, like for example, the soul destiny on the 10-1, but this is the personality. I know this is all love and light and all, but life is life. But I'm just curious about that. When I drew a chart of a person and I saw, wow, you've got such an amazing chart, but this is not the essence. How does that?
You would look into the challenges and also into the goals, because remember, the goal is where the direction a person wants to go. And if your goal is to be on the top of the mountain, you're not going to be born on the top of the mountain. You're going to be born at the bottom of the mountain, because that's how you're going to reach your goal. If you are born on the top of the mountain, then the goal is not a goal anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that. But that's for
So
the
you will
other
normally be
people.
on the opposite end. So if the person's got a beautiful chart, the goals, they may be incarnated in a place where they're quite far removed from where they want to be. Their job is to get to that. Same with the challenge. You're on the opposite end. You want to get towards that positive end.
But like let's use a narcissistic personality. That's easier to like than a psychopath. They don't or borderline. What borderline personality disorder?
Remember,
They don't.
a person would want to be helped.
Yes.
Narcissists do not want to be helped because it's not their problem. It's not their issue.
Yeah. So how did that soul choose such a beautiful child just to become such an
because within something like narcissism, there's an opportunity for growth. The darker the energy and the denser the energy, the greater the expansion and brightness that could come from that. The transformation can be so much bigger. So it could be someone who's choosing quite a dense energy so that they can transform that in a really big, magnificent way. They may not be able to do this in this life. Maybe they're, as a soul, they're bit of more than they can chew. But it's part of the experience. And so our job is not to judge them. Our job is to deliver the information. But I can tell you that a narcissist will probably not come to you for a reading. I have not had any. Even bipolar, I've had very few bipolar people who actually came to me. The bipolar people who came to me, we could actually see the imbalance within the chart and we could guide them out of that.
Yeah.
So people will come to you when they want to be helped or when they are ready for that.
I'm just trying to connect the dynamics of the universe and all of the souls when you have such a beautiful chart. But you're like an energy vampire. You just destroy and kill.
Again, look at the challenges. Because they will be in the opposite spectrum. Instead of being the nice energy, they would be in the negative side. The goals, instead of being in that nice energy, they would want to get to the energy. You know what I mean? Which means if you look at the chart, the only thing that should be then balanced would be the talents and the soul destiny. But the soul destiny also is actually a goal. It's an overall goal. So which means when you get a chart, just the talents are in the positive. Everything else is in the negative. We're wanting to get them into the positive. But if there's so much negative in the chart, that could block the talents as well. So if you're not going to be working at your challenges, you're not going to be working towards the goals, those become stagnant and stale, and that can affect the talents. So the whole big thing is to look at where can you take responsibility, where can you change, where can you better yourself, where can you take yourself up from this negativity and into the positive side so that you can get to the goal. So if it's the mountain analogy again, so that I can get from the bottom of the mountain to the top of the mountain, how am I going to do that in this life? So beautiful chart or not, we still have to get there. We still have to get to the top. There's a potential for that beautiful energy to be radiated out, but the person must take responsibility.
And then just a personal question. Do you think that, let's just categorize them into energy vampires. Do you think they're from this earth or not? Or is it souls that chose to be that?
Could be both. Could be both. Some are conscious of the fact that they are energy vampires. Others are not.
Mm.
So I've worked with both sides of the coin.
Mm.
Mm.
Thank you. I was wondering.
Anything else? Any other questions?
For the grace clearing, you started with this meditation. Do we have the words to it, or do we just do what we want to do?
I've given you the words it's in your manual. It's on page 60, somewhere there. I've also given it to you in let me just quickly see it in the notes that you guys will have. Let me just quickly find where they are. Class recordings, extra documentation. Grace clearing, I've added that in as a PDF. So let's quickly get that up on screen. If it's going to open up now. Yeah, so it's in that extra documents folder. I've got that presentation slide in there. I'm also going to add into that, there's also a video of Blue Marsden doing that. 05. So if you look, okay, there it's opening now. So here, so in your folder, I've given you these. This is the steps that you follow. There's your basic words that you use. There's an image of what you're looking at, where things fit in. But then what you do is you would go read all of these things, and then you read your soul destiny and dominant vibration messages, and your worldly and spiritual challenges, affirmations you read, and then you bring it all back together again. So this is just a summary on one page. But in your manual, let's quickly get manual out if I've got it here. Yeah. In your manual, it is soul plan, yes, grace clearing. So this is on page 65. That gives you the grace clearing script, and I've also made a summary of that on 65 and 66. Okay, got that?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions?
Got a question.
Mm.
I'm mentioning while you were doing Walter's reading that they were he only had the 10-1 as the double numbers, but he had a lot of what do you call it?
Combination numbers.
Combination numbers. He had a lot of combinations, and that gave his chart almost unstructured, or
It was scattered.
Scattered, yes.
So it's about getting more focus in. But also what you do is look at the name as well. If the name is really, really long, that adds to the scatteredness. If the name is really short, again, that brings more focus in. So in his case, it was actually a little bit balanced, but the scatteredness was still there. And so the 19-1, if you had looked at the energies, there's also about pulling it all in, like bringing the focus in.
Okay, and then what in the reverse would a lot of double numbers mean? Would that mean then
makes it very rigid, structured? Yeah, my way or the highway. I know how things must be. I will do things my way. Don't want to change. Don't like change at all. Yeah, so that's the opposite side. So the one side is all scattered and like too many ideas, not sure where to go. Don't complete tasks, and the other side is very rigid and don't like change. And so they need to learn to be more open to change, more flowing, and things like that. Okay. How are we all feeling?
a little bit a tiny little bit nervous about doing a reading for another person now already.
You can ask Walter. Before we came up, I said to him, I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous. He was like, why are you nervous? I said, because I'm gonna have to give you a reading in front of people now. The nerves are good. Flow with the nerves. We all get nervous.
There's so much.
You know,
you look at the foreign creation and you think, oh, that's only a couple of things. And then when you actually dive into it, and I mean, this is just the basic course, right? There's still an advanced course.
Yeah.
It's actually a hell of a lot of information.
Lots of information. But don't get too panicky about it. Like, the nerves are there. Nerves are okay. We all get nervous. I mean, I've been doing this for how long now, and I still get nervous. It's normal. I found that the times when I go in, I'm going like, I'm so confident I can do this. Is not a problem. Then life throws you a curveball. Then the client walks in and go like, it doesn't matter whether I gave my married name or not. Oh, by the way, I gave my married name. You go like, what? Now I've got to make a new chart and give you a reading. Oh, nerves are back. The nerves are good. It's all part of it. It's actually that, but it's what makes it fun. Because if the nerves are there, for me, it puts me in a humble space, because I know that I may not have the answers. And so for me, it's a discovery. I want to discover what's in the chart. It's like really going like, oh, what is here? Let's be curious, be curious, be curious with the client instead of going like, I have all the answers and I'm going to share all the answers with you.
Yeah, that's a wonderful, wonderful bit of guidance.
Be curious. I always see myself as a child, like, oh, I wonder what that's about. Oh, I wonder what that's about. Because when you start doing that, now you go, well, I wonder what will happen if this energy and this energy comes together. Ooh, okay, they don't like each other. They'll play like that. Or if they play like that, get to know the energies as almost like characters or something. And go, imagine if I put these two characters together, how would they act? What would they do? How would these two energies work together? Be curious. Okay, so shall we take a break? How much break would you like here? Because after the break, you're going to be doing readings.
I'm for the longest break.
Half an hour? Do you need a 45 minutes? What do you need here?
I vote 45 minutes.
Are you all voting 45? Okay. So I'm going to set my clock. What time is 45 minutes from now? So it's about half past 2. Yeah?
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay, that's it. So 2:30 we're back, and then you can decide who's going to read first. That's the next next one to do. Okay, so we'll see you at 2:30. I can't wait. See you then.
Bye-bye.